Okay, educational story time as David Feather sees it. Now, in the 60s, early 70s, Joe Weider ruled the bodybuilding world, all right? Most of you should know who Joe Weider is. He passed on, but he was the first guy that strongly influenced bodybuilding. He had under contract, Schwarzenegger, Columbo, and Zane. All of the greats belonged to Joe Weider. Now, Joe Weider created the Weider Principles. Now, the Weider Principles were based all upon free weight training. Pre-exhaustion, down the rack, you name it. Look up the Weider Principles. Now, Schwarzenegger and Columbo and Zane, they all had to promote free weight training. Joe Weider sold free weights. Joe Weider had the Weider Principles. Now, back in the 60s and the 70s, there weren't very many machines until Arthur Jones came out with his great machines. So back then, free weights was it for developing the body. And this is basically how squats became the king of the lower body exercise. If you don't squat, you aren't tough. That's how it became it. There just wasn't very many machines to create that tension. I don't even think they understood about tension back then. They just understood about brute strength and weight training, free weights. So this got propagated down through the ages. Squats are the king of all exercises. Squats are the king of all exercises. It just got passed on, passed on, passed on. And at one time, squats were the king of all exercises. I'm not only going to harp on squats. I'm just making this a point in the subject I'm talking about. So, because Weider sold free weights, everybody under his contract had to promote free weights regardless of what they thought, or they were going to get their contract canceled. Plain and simple. This was part of the rule of being under contract with Joe Weider. Now later, Jones developed all these great machines, and they created a longer time under tension. This is what promoted the use of machines. Now, Joe Weider, probably did not like Arthur Jones, and his athletes discredited the use of machines. There was a big controversy. Free weights, machines. Free weights, machines. Now, Arthur Jones came along and he said, well, I'm going to prove that machines are better than free weights. I'm going to take some test subjects. I'm going to put them under training, and we're going to do high intensity training. So we're going to lower the volume, increase our intensity, do shorter workouts, exercise the total body 3 times a week or more, and we're going to see what we can get out of it. Now, the problem with that, the problem with the high intensity training and Jones was that Jones chose ultra genetic, super compensated athletes, the Kobe Bryants of the bodybuilding world. This was his test subjects. So these test subjects, of course, were going to respond dramatically. Not only because they were the elite, but because the time under tension did create more hypertrophy. So, and also Mentzer also took up, the high intensity training off of Jones, and Mentzer also trained, the great of the great. Now, to prove their theory, they chronicalized everything that went on with their training and demonstrated their training, of course, and they were promoting this type of training. Now, the test subjects put on an incredible amount of muscle. Genetically elite, super compensated, time under tension, through high intensity training, works. But once these elite test subjects maxed out, and he proved the theory. I mean, look at this. The guy built 2 inches on, he put 30 pounds on his body. Once these elite test subjects maxed out, Jones and Mentzer, they did not have to push any further or extrapolate further out on their theories. Now, you should look up Mentzer online and listen to some of his lectures. Very intense lectures, very good. But I don't always agree with what Mentzer had to say and what Jones had to say. Now, they stopped short. I feel that they stopped short because of the test subjects that they chose, and the test subjects proved almost immediately that high intensity does work, and you can gain mass from it. Now, I don't really believe in the one set theory all-out max high intensity. And the reason being is often, so I try to extrapolate out more from Jones and from Mentzer. I try to push further to think, to me they pulled up short. So I tried to concentrate further, and I tried to extrapolate further, and I tried to come up with my own theories and my own philosophy of just what was going on. So the one-set theory really shocks the central nervous system, and you're trying to probably do a better performance on your next set. You may, hold up and say, oh, that was one all-out effort, but if you continue on, you probably can do better on your next set. Now, if you don't believe exactly in the one-set theory, and you want to do, say, 3 sets, which I believe in beyond the one-set theory, you have to change some variable to try to stimulate the muscle further than you just did during your first onslaught of one all-out set. If you can't change an important variable to try to fire that muscle further, it's detrimental in your effort to try to outperform or out-exceed that first set that you just did. The muscle used maximum response during that first set after you were properly warmed up, your central nervous system was shot, and then you trained high intensity and you gave it your all. So if you're going to continue on to a second set or a third set, you have to try to think, how can I push that muscle further than what I just did? Well, this is where it comes into play, where I developed high efficiency variable training based on high intensity training. Now, high efficiency variable training involves that you must change a very important variable to try to outperform that first set. So when you change a variable, why not change a variable to a proven technique that has been shown to promote hypertrophy on its own? This way, each set can stand on its own merit as possibly being the one set that created the most hypertrophy. You're trying to cover all the bases off of the one set theory. So this is where it revolves around, where they first of all maximum hypertrophy, maximum rep range, maximum resistance into your rep range, and then increase the time under tension through the different second variable change, and then a rest pause. Each one of these variable changes has been proven on their own scientifically to promote hypertrophy. Each one of these variable changes could possibly outperform the previous set as firing more of a contraction into the muscle. So this is what I tried to do. And when I did it, I responded immediately. I grew immediately. It was just incredible. And I still was limiting my sets to 3, maybe 5 at the most. But the other 2 were just endorphins flowing and probably excitement. I probably didn't even need to go that far. But I also tried to think, well, you have to try to capitalize on the time under tension or the efficiency of the exercise. And that's what I explained during the first part of this lecture, basically, when I gave it to you, just a video ago. So high efficiency variable training is sort of the logic that I try to wrap myself around when I'm training, if I'm going to do more than one set. And it only made sense to me. But you can't keep pushing set after set after set after set if the next set is lesser than the previous set. Muscle does not work that way. It fires and contracts as far as it can based upon what you are doing or the effort or intensity that you're applying on that set. Change a variable to a proven technique that promotes hypertrophy. That's what you see me doing whenever I'm talking about, okay, now we're going to change a variable to increase time under tension, increase the repetition, to lower the resistance a little bit, maybe control your rep speed a little bit more, keep that tension on the muscle. But you have to choose efficient exercises. You want to capture the largest percentage of a repetition, just like I told you. So this is key, and it really, really worked well for me. The one set theory really didn't work that well because I'm afraid that I really didn't give it my maximum effort, even though I thought I was giving it my maximum effort as far as high intensity. So I tried the logic or reason this out further and further and further. I tried to stand on the shoulders of Mentzer and Jones and come up with a new theory that would help promote hypertrophy. And this worked just perfectly for me. I could still limit my sets to 3 sets. But also one of the keys was resting long enough between sets to maximize your performance. I'm a big believer that muscle does not know how long you rested between sets. Muscle will only respond when you call upon it to act. So you've got to be totally refreshed, your breathing got to be under control, your heart rate's got to be down, and then you change the variable, and then you maximize your effort once again. People that say, oh, you got to wait 60 seconds, you wait 90 seconds between sets. To me, this is wrong. This is wrong. You can't capitalize or maximize your performance if you're going at 60 seconds or 90 seconds. You're not going to be able to fire the muscle any further. So what are you doing? You're pre-exhausting your muscle, you get blood volume in there, but you're not pushing the contraction any further. You have to sort of understand it. And this was all the premise of the Metzers when they were doing high intensity training. The muscle can only fire so far. The ripple can only go so far out. Anything lesser, the ripple is coming back, and you're just tearing down the muscle, and you're shocking your central nervous system, and you're probably delaying the rest period for the muscle. So, and I'll also tell you something else, because I am really into telling stories right now. So Jones devised all these great machines, these Nautilus machines, these cams shaped like a Nautilus, that's what Nautilus, which promoted a longer time under tension, which increased efficiency. And now whether they knew they were increasing efficiency, I'm sure they had to, or whether they said it's increasing the time under tension, they had to sort of understand that. So Jones created all these great machines and all these great machines. In comes other companies, because they started to see how machine sales were picking up, in comes other companies who make lesser efficient machines. They sell them for a lesser price. They improve the marketing and the advertisement. They get top stars that they promote, like Linda Murray, Shaquille O'Neal, and they drive the great companies out of business. These great companies that were giving you efficiency, that were promoting hypertrophy, that was getting the job done for you as soon and as fast as possible. Now I'm going to use an example. This was Life Fitness. Life Fitness perpetuated the greatest travesty on the fitness industry and you that you know of, and most people don't know of it. Now there's some sharp guys out there. I'm sure Bill Nolan understands what I'm saying, and he knows this. They created machines that just were barely efficient. But they look good, and just short, you could pull and you could push and you could pull and you could push, but they drove the good companies out of business. And then you started to get the promotion, well, it takes time to build muscle, it takes time. Yeah, it takes time, but it doesn't take an unbearable, undurable, long time. With Life Fitness or lesser equipment that create efficiency, yes, it is going to. So I was able to see this. You really have to see this. When you walk into a different gym, you have to look at the equipment. You have to decide what piece of equipment is going to create the greatest efficiency. So you have to understand what a repetition is and what a repetition feels like. The tension throughout the positive and the static. The feel of an extra pull into the gravitational pull into the negative. You have to learn what a perfect repetition feels like that creates this time under tension. If you can learn this, then you can get in different machines, you can close your eyes, and you can feel the efficiency of some machines. The sooner or later, you're going to learn. You're going to learn which machines are more efficient just by looking at the design, the cable, or the pulley systems in the design. When you've got pulley systems and multiple pulley, this is like, tacking, what they did when they were loading ships 150 years ago. They used multiple pulleys, and they pulled on the rope, and this lessened the resistance, and it lessened the weight of what they were pulling, and they were able to load their cargo. It's basically the same thing when you see multiple pulleys, based upon just inefficient cams. So the design of these machines with the lever and the plate-loaded leverage design equipment are much more efficient. So do I get upset sometimes with Life Fitness? Yes, I really, really do. Because I know how bad you want that body. I wanted that body really bad. And I fell into the trap of magazine propaganda just like you. So, you got, and the engineers of Life Fitness had to know this. So some of the machines tried to come out and they tried to capitalize on this tension to make their machines better. And you can feel it on some of them converge, the way the pulleys are connected, the way they got the cables are. You can actually feel which machines are better than which machines. And Life Fitness to me is really the bottom of the barrel. But they were able to capitalize on the market. Every gym you go in, what do you see? You see Life Fitness. And you see people pushing and pulling on Life Fitness. But they are not really the most efficient machines. Yes, you can get in. Yes, you can get the job done, but it's going to take you a long time. You must always think about efficiency.